What is happening, everyone? You are into another episode of the Republic of Gaming podcast. This is actually episode 9. We're on to our 9th episode, which is amazing. Last week we had our live 8-bit episode live at the event, and it was an experience as well. But today is it's a very special one because we have a very special guest today. Her name is Nadine Mc Gillick. How are you doing, Nadine?
Hi, how are you?
Very good. Joining us as well, we have Paddy Toner.
What's the crack, guys?
Still taking that catchphrase, Paddy.
Petrol's going to be sending me an email telling me to stop saying it, but I'm going to keep saying it.
And again, I'm happy that Una Ming is joining us for a full show. How are you doing, Una?
I guess I'll say, what's the crack, guys?
I know. We all can't say it.
How is everyone doing? Nadine, how are you feeling today?
Yeah, pretty good. Kind of excited to explain where we came from and stuff. So this can be interesting.
Are you feeling okay to be on camera?
Yeah, a bit nervous.
Give the camera a wave so all your fans can see what you look like. So what we usually start the show is just an easy one for everyone, just to get the ball rolling. It is what we are playing. So Nadine, you are our special guest. So what have you been jamming the last couple of weeks?
I have been playing Overwatch every day, all day for the last week, and then the month before that was totally spending Conan Exiles. I don't know how much you guys have got to play that, but it's a survival world in the Conan Barbarian age, the Robert E. Howard novels and stuff that are based on it. And you can knock out people and have slaves, and there's lots of nudity. It's just wonderful. It's a wonderful experience.
I tried to jump into that game.
Overwatch, did you jump into that game at the start of release and continue to play it, or are you a newcomer to that game? Or
Oh yeah, no, I was on it on beta, so I think it's on its 11th season now, so I took a little break for a while because that game can tilt you hard, once you I'm a Mercy main, so I fall into the general one trick category, but we've got some really good players that carry me to death, so I'm pretty lucky.
Nice. What character do you use?
Oh, mainly Mercy. I'm trying with Anna. I am trying to get better at Anna. That's what I have an advantage over you with. I have a keyboard and mouse, so accuracy for days.
Nice. So yeah, so anyone that's out there, Nadine is a PC gamer. She doesn't touch consoles. I'm lucky to actually enjoy both, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Paddy, what have you been playing?
Well, this week I haven't been playing much games on the console or at the house, as I've been very busy with 8-bit. But during the weekend we were playing Street Fighter and I kicked everyone's ass. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Of course you're going to bring that up.
Oh, I have to bring it up. It's probably the only game I'm ever going to kick everyone's ass. I was very shocked myself, but I did it. I think I'm going to have to get one of them fighting sticks because the controller just doesn't work for me.
You were an absolute beast. I had the privilege of playing you and losing as well.
I picked up Tekken 7 there yesterday, tried to play it this evening, and I don't know if I'll play it again, to be honest. It just got killed straight away.
Who
They hit me with these combos that were coming. Akuma, is it?
Akuma, yeah.
Yeah, I was playing with him, and I got my ass handed to me.
I use Steve Fox. If you wonder
just
why.
For the Fox, for the beta Fox, is it? Or sorry, Alpha Fox. Sorry, Alpha.
Una, what have you been playing?
1 second, I'd like to address Paddy's blatant lie there on what he's been playing, because he's clearly been playing Fortnite all week as well.
Okay, we'll have to put this out there. I play Fortnite every week, but I'm not going to say that every week. This podcast will get old fast.
You could be one of those League of Legends
just
players.
assume I'm playing Fortnite as well as something else, because that's the truth.
Okay, great. I'm playing lots of Persona 5 at the moment is what I've been doing. I'm 60 hours into it now, so I'm not really towards the end of it. I'm guessing I have another 60 hours to go, so I'm loving it though. It's great.
60 hours and you're nowhere near the end. I don't think that's just crazy.
It's so
and what else have you been playing with me?
Nier Automata, actually.
No. Come on, spit it out.
I've also been playing Fortnite, okay?
Yeah. Now, there's the truth coming out. Fortnite Anonymous.
What have you been streaming, Una? Is it Persona you've been streaming, or?
Yeah, it's Persona as well. It's a bit of a tricky one because there's a fair bit of talking in it, but there's a lot of text, so I try to do the voices very badly. But it's amusing nonetheless. it's a great game, really great series. Like, it just sucks you in. The gameplay is excellent as well. It's proper modern turn-based. I love it.
I played Persona 4 on Vita. Absolutely
Yes.
loved it. I like playing JRPGs on that handheld because it's pick up and play.
Exactly.
And it's a really good system to play a JRPG. With myself, I find it hard to sit down and play a game that's that kind of heavy. You know, but I loved Persona 4 on Vita, and Persona 5 scares me, to be quite honest with you. And you saying that it's 60 hours in and not near the end, yeah, that scares me even more. I have been playing actually an old game. I'm a huge fan of The Witcher 3, and I told you guys I recently built a PC, and I went back and I bought The Witcher 2, and I've been playing through that. I'm about maybe 8 hours into that game, and I am absolutely blown away by how good that game is. The opening, it opens, you're part of a battle. You're basically alongside a king. You go into a siege tower and you take over a castle, and it just, the fact that the game is you know, it's getting on in years as well, it still holds up to this day. The battle system is a little bit harder. It's definitely refined in The Witcher 3, but it's still an awesome game. And other games I've been playing on PS4, or I've been playing Fortnite with you guys, as always. The Loser, shout out to the Loser Club. I know you're listening. And yeah, just have, I'm actually playing Diablo as well with a good friend, Matt Hart. And speaking of Matt Hart, I was told to shout this out on the show, even though I don't want to. But I lost the Republic of Gaming World Cup FIFA final to his brother John Hart. He bet me 2-0. And yeah, I'm not going to be boasting about being a great FIFA player anymore.
Jeez, you're boasting enough Sunday after the event. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
there.
I was unbeaten at the event, so I was allowed to boast a little bit.
Just a little bit.
So Nadine, we're going to give you the mic for a couple of minutes. We're going to be asking you a few questions. The first question that we want to ask you is, where did the idea for Massive Pear Gaming come from, and what motivated you to start the community?
Yeah, so in about 2014, in about summertime, I was playing Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon. So that was like that was a PC-based game, and you know, we were looking for communities that we could join, and we happened to stumble across this lovely group. And through there for about 2 years, we got to know about 40 people, and they were honestly some of the coolest people that I'd ever met, because we kind of met. Have you ever played DayZ? Has anyone here played DayZ?
Yeah, I've played DayZ, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you know that's all about reliability, right? You need to rely on your teammates. You don't want to get shot in the back when you're walking away. You know, you don't want to be lured into a warehouse and get killed. So you learn who to trust and who not to trust very, very quickly. And we even had to bring in like a court system, and you know, like whoever saw the person, that was their person, and they could kill them or they could keep them. They could do whatever they want. Yeah. So this kind of group bonded over our ability to trust one another. So it was a very strong group. The community that we were in wasn't really kind of going down the path of what we needed. So they were real focused on, you know, kind of making money and getting sponsorships and promotions. And it was so against everything that we stood for, because we were a group of people who cared about one another as opposed to, you know, what we could make out of this. So I took all 40. We went off, we made a really shitty engine site in about 20 minutes, and voila, we had this community. And the name Massive Pear, so you can...
Oh, you're actually going to tell us about the name,
yeah, I have to. I feel like it has a bad name now. So massive means good, or massive can mean a collective of people. It means two things, a massive and pear, you know, obviously looks like a pair of, you know, whatever you want it to be. And you know the phrase, you know, you've got big cojones, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I want to see your massive pear. I want to see you be the first person.
Calm down, it's early yet.
Yes, I want to see you pushing through the door with the AK first. I want to see you pushing those spikes first, you know?
That's awesome.
But yes, our logo does resemble, you know, and it is intentional. So it works for male and female, you know, you can have it for both. So
I'm not gonna lie, but we were looking at the logo during the week, and we were thinking, is it?
What
thanks for clearing that up for us, Nadine.
Guys who made that is actually like the most insane artist. Like we were so lucky that we got like such a talented artist to do all of our logos and graphics. Like we were very, very lucky. So this group of 40 took them over, made our site, and we just kind of started. I started implementing because I had the kind of the control over the group to kind of make this group whatever it is that I saw as needing. And one thing that we always focused on was our sense of community. So it's very easy to join any type of game online and, come up with some, like you're playing a game together, you already have an inherent similar interest. You're both playing the same game. You obviously have something in common. But what wasn't really dealt with was the levels of toxicity that was being faced in particularly online gaming. From console, I remember it was quite bad. I remember in Call of Duty, Una might agree with me on this one, particularly women would get a bit of a bad rep. You'd be like, oh no, I've got a girl on my team. We're going to lose. It was just instant. So kind of like making sure that it was like an all-inclusive group so that men and women could play on an equal basis. We have people from all ages who are with us. We've got very young members. We had a couple of like much, much older. But we created this community, even though we came from all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, all because we understood that the internet is a toxic place at the best of time, and we need to have each other's backs. So that is how we came to be.
100%.
That's awesome. And just talking about the community, how have you grown that community from your 40 members to this, this great community now? And maybe how did you keep the toxicity level down in that community?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is that we're incredibly transparent. So every Monday at 9:00, we have a thing called the Monday meeting, and it is an excuse for anybody who's around or free to come and sit and talk to one another. And we tend to talk about any major issues that are happening in community, because as much as I'd love to say there's no trouble, of course there's trouble. You're going to have trouble. Where you have a large group of people, you're going to end up inevitably with some dramas. So bringing those to a community level and allowing the community to assess, what was going on, allowed us to kind of build our own moral framework and our own kind of ideals as to what was good and what was bad. And it kind of became our first rule is don't be a dickhead, and that's pretty broad. You can take that on any level, but we understand each other, that we know that like if somebody's coming in and just giving you, shit all day, we know that that's not okay. We know that that's not acceptable, and that person will automatically kind of be ousted from the group. They won't be invited to stuff, they won't, whatever. But the way that I kind of make sure that they understand that what is right and what is wrong is the fact that I constantly talk about it. Every Monday at 9:00, if it's something has happened, it will be mentioned, and everybody will have a chance to have their say, and they'll hear what their peers have to say, which is very important. Very important to hear what your peers say.
That's awesome. So do you have like a 0 level of acceptance with being a dickhead, basically, or do you give someone a chance to maybe redeem themselves and say, look, I'm sorry, it won't happen again?
Oh, definitely the latter. I am such a softie. Once somebody shows that they're like making efforts, I will definitely keep them, because I'm like, oh, there's obviously something going on. You don't act like this normally, and I make allowances. Probably too much. I think my admins think I do it too much, but they keep me on the straight and narrow. They make sure that I know, when something is too bad. It all depends on severity. Don't get me wrong. We have kicked a few people, but not too many, thankfully.
That's deadly. Una, do you want to ask the next question?
I was just thinking that it must be pretty hard though, because there must be a line, I suppose, between you kind of being the more of the boss and then also the community, they're on a different level. So how do you maintain that line really? Because I know that of course you want to be friendly and everything like that, but I know from looking at our own community that sometimes, not always, like you said, you get one person who is just causing a bit of a ruckus, and it's like you want to let them down as nicely as possible, but if they're just being very toxic, how would you, I suppose, showcase that there is a line and you are kind of actually the boss in all of things?
Yeah, I think, I think half of them are afraid because I have a bit of a temper. Like, I come across as pretty nice, I think that the fact that sometimes I can actually send one of my staff in. So if say, for example, somebody's being particularly toxic towards me, I think stepping away from that situation and allowing somebody else to step in at that point is probably the best thing to do. And as well as that, there's usually a reason why somebody is being so toxic. Now, you can't always always make amends or make allowances, sorry, for what people are doing. But if it's a case that, say for example, they're constantly finding faults, no matter what you do, every post you put up, they're like, you spelt that wrong, that word's wrong, why not get them to proofread? Why not get them to proofread some of the posts that you do before you put them up? No, I'm serious. They get a sense of that they are doing what is important. You don't actually have to take it, but they feel it. So,
Yeah, that's
So
brilliant.
bringing it away from the kind of toxicity of a community, just because you're a PC gamer, I want to talk a little bit about obviously being a PC gamer and what separates that from console gaming, in your opinion.
I actually have thought about this so much the last couple of days, and I think that the only thing that I can truly think of is the fact that there is just different levels of communication. So, you on your Xbox Live or on your PS4 parties, a lot of it will be voice, and then whatever you type in the controller in a message, which is they're generally quite short. Like you're just trying to get a point across quickly in the middle of a game. The fact that we use Discord, TeamSpeak, Ventrilo, there's hundreds of different communications application software that you can use, and I think that the fact that we have that with the ability to send attachments, messages whenever we want, videos, screen share, all of this stuff, even the stuff that we're doing on Google Hangouts now, we can do that while we're playing a game, or we can, I think that there's just so much more technology that's available to PC gamers that console gamers just don't have just yet.
So would you class yourself as a part of the PC master race, or what do you think of that, that staple of a PC gamer?
I'm so happy that you said that phrase. So you also mentioned The Witcher earlier.
Yeah.
So the term, do you guys know where that term came from?
I actually did read it recently.
Yeah, it's from do you remember Zero Punctuation or Yahtzee?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
He was on The Escapist. So when he was talking about The Witcher back in 2006 or so, a long time ago, he was talking about the fact that The Witcher was exclusive to PC, and he used the term PC Master Race exclusively about The Witcher and about PC gaming. It just kind of got adopted. That is one thing about PC culture, is we memeify everything. Everything gets turned into a meme because we have the software to do it.
Deadly. What do you think?
About the PC Master Race or PC community in general? What are we talking about here?
Bit of everything.
Do you compete at the gaming yourself?
Oh, Jesus Christ, no. I am so bad. I am so bad. I get carried by most of the kids, to be fair. They are so much better than me.
So you probably more enjoy organising the actual events themselves.
Yeah, I'd organize anything for them. Like we've been so lucky. We just had our 139th Monday meeting last week, so we've done 139 of those. I think we've done about 30 different PUBG events. We've done probably about the same Rocket League. We do Age of Empires. We span across so many different genres that I'm probably going to organize something that you're interested in at some point.
Yeah. And do you run them every week?
Yeah, Monday meetings are every week. Events I try and do at least one every weekend, depending on.
What's the favorite one?
I would say Rocket League for sure. Rocket League is because
awesome.
It's so easy to watch.
It's so much crack as well.
And the guys that we play with, half of them are playing Quidditch. They're not playing the same game that I'm playing. Like, I'm driving on the ground, they're like flying. I'm like, oh shit.
And do you stream out all these events every week?
No, not the ones every week. Because it's a community stuff, so we try to keep it, somewhat.
Yeah, keep it inside the community.
Exactly. But every week I write up full notes. Anyone can read them anytime on our website. So we always have, a way for people to go back and to see what we did or to see what's coming up, so.
Yeah.
What sort of prizes do you have for the events, or is it just basically a pride thing with the competitions?
It kind of depends. So we have a two-way system when it comes to prizes. Say, for example, a game like Rocket League, crates, skins, things that are tradable in-game are usually, a great prize. But we also have this thing called the raffle, and the raffle is very important in MBG. So if you come to any event, it doesn't matter what game you play, no matter what you do, we'll give you these tickets, and you can accumulate tickets over a 3-month period, and then we just pull names out of a hat, so it makes it like totally fair. And we just recently, so in October of last year, we got sponsored by Creative Labs and Sound Blaster Gaming, and
Nice.
now our prize pool has significantally increased to
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And where do we apply to get into this group?
Mattpear.com.
That's pear.com. Right, I'm going to look it up now.
Speaking of sponsorship, Nadine, how does one go about getting sponsorship, and what sort of involvement does the sponsor, say, have in your community? Do they ask you to do certain things, or is it just a case you just promote them every time you can?
Yeah, they've never really directly asked me for anything. So I think really it's different group to group, you know? Like I did not stop knocking on doors until I got an answer. I hounded people out of it, like every day, calling the offices, trying to find someone. Eventually I got a connection, and it just kind of worked out. And I think I was just really lucky, because I know there's other groups that maybe might be a little bit bigger than MPG is, and they're kind of struggling to find someone. I think it's down to how you actually communicate what you're trying to achieve. If you, like, for example, like Una said, that guy, you know, I want to get free stuff. You know,
Yeah.
nobody wants to give anything for that. You know, you got to show what you are working for. Like, I spent like weeks preparing reports with like all of these like figures and data, and showing them all of our trends and everything from Google Analytics, and said, look at what I can do. And they were like, hey, why not? You can be our social media rep. And yeah, the way that we kind of pay them back is like, I run a lot of like YouTube competitions and stuff. So the guys give me a lot of content, and it's really easy to put out there because they do such an amazing job. So
That's great. Fantastic.
Awesome. Una?
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that, Nadine, you actually sound like the most organized person I've ever met in my entire life.
And Una's
Like,
pretty organized, so that's coming from...
It's from a good place. I mean that as a huge compliment. I love it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Una Min's been trying to organise me, and it's kind of working.
I mean, you know, I'm slowly getting used to the whole calendar system and the different documents and everything like that.
Someday you'll move to Trello. You'll be like, oh shit.
Oh,
we
no, don't
Right,
forget.
Seamus will be blowing up in the chat right now. Yeah, Seamus, one of our members, he's been trying to get us onto Trello for months now. So shout out to Seamus.
It's very old looking, isn't it, Trello, though? When you go into it, it's kind of...
The interface is kind of gaudy, so we all kind of clicked into it, and we're just like, ooh.
Really nice. Yeah. I think I have about 10 different Trello boards started, and I just never continue with them. So you're not
No,
alone.
we've the same. We've a good few Trello boards there, and I think they've been there for like a year. So I'll go back and say, "Oh shit, I still didn't do that."
Overdue.
Yeah, what's it easy? Just coming from the community aspect, as we have our own community ourselves, I think, like going forward, what do you think the steps the Irish community should take to get more of the mainstream involved in the building of communities?
Yeah, I think networking is just so important. Like even me talking to you guys, you know, like if I didn't make, you know, maybe efforts at the start, we would never have spoken. And I think that sometimes people can get really caught up in like their own little groups, you know.
Yeah.
I think networking is so important. Like even going, like your conference at the weekend was such an amazing way to get people together, you know, and you had like all different age groups, you know. So I think networking, because our country is so small, you know, and we're so friendly. We may as well. Why not talk to each other? So
I don't think enough people are watching Irish content creators or watching Irish streamers. I think a lot of people seem to be jumping straight to America and, you know, watching the big time streamers instead of giving the little streamers. And a little could be 1,000 people, but it's still little, and they're not watching them. Do you know what I mean? Like All Cast are a great example. They were going for like 3 years, and they're still struggling, and they're brilliant. They're on the stage there at the weekend, and they had the whole place in the palm of their hand. And it's just, I don't think people are getting behind Irish people enough. To me,
definitely agree. Like it is kind of a, but we have a bit of a, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but we have a bit of a, if somebody's doing well, we're a bit like, ooh, look at that, see that person over there, they're doing really well. We have a bit of a mentality here about that. Like my a girl that I used to know became this like really big like blogger, you know, that I knew from school, and I heard a few people being like, oh, oh, look what she's doing. Oh, well for her. But they don't see the hours that this girl put into editing every single video, so.
That's it. There's serious hours that goes into all of this stuff. Like the content create, like editing videos is nothing to be shown that. Like it's a ridiculous amount of hours put into every video for people, and then people come along and go look at it for 5 seconds and turn it off and not give it even the shadow of a date because they don't have 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
So they have to help these people get known, show back their own people.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a problem in the entertainment industry anyway, because it's not even just, video games, indie developers and whatever, even in terms of TV. It's because it's home produced. We find it easier to mock or tear down or something. It's like because it's on a lower budget, but obviously we're a teeny weeny island. We can't afford the millions or whatever that Game of Thrones has or, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's vitally important in communities anyway, that we actually are pushing each other up instead of just pulling each other down all the time. It's really frustrating to see, especially in terms of video games, because the developers that we don't see, the indie ones who are working so hard, they just don't get any limelight because of the media's unwillingness to push forward.
Exactly. And then they're trying to pit us against each other, this console versus PC thing. I'm so against it. I'm so anti it. I think gamers are gamers. Maybe not mobile gamers. I can.
You haven't played that much.
I will be biased towards them, but the console versus PC, because essentially you guys are just using a PC, just one that the Sony or Microsoft chose for you.
Yeah, it's just easier, isn't it, to use?
It is.
It's just a plug and play, which is better. No,
speaking of your PC, Nadine, what sort of specs do you have? We'll go a little bit technical. We won't dwell on it for too long, but I personally am interested. I'm sure there's people in the chat interested on what system you have.
Yeah, I've been prepped so well for this. When it comes to hardware, I suck, right? I suck. So that everyone watching this, I practice.
Let's compare.
With the right? You ready?
Okay.
Right. Okay. So my graphics card is a MSI GTX 970. I have a Ryzen 1600 CPU.
Same as.
No, I'm not. I'm doing this for memory. Right?
I've got the same CPU, Nadine. Nice.
I've got 320 gig of RAM. I think that's everything, right? Yeah.
320 gig of RAM.
Yeah,
that
and then
sounds like an awful lot.
Yeah, and a 2 terabyte hard drive as well. So.
Sweet.
And then of course I have a Razer mouse because I'm a bit of a Razer addict, and then of course creative headset because repping.
No, that's awesome. What you said you were sponsored there, so you obviously get maybe PC peripherals. What sort of peripherals do you use? Mouse, keyboard? You've said your headset already.
Yeah, so I have a Death Adder mouse, which I actually acquired in a very strange way. So a couple of years ago, I used to stream, not with a cam, just with the game. And there was a guy who was my biggest fan, and he sent me a load of money to go buy a mouse because he was so tired of watching the shake on my screen of the really crappy mouse I had. So I got a Death Adder from him, which is pretty cool. And then I've got a really shitty Dell laptop. So if anyone wants to send me money for a new laptop, a new keyboard.
No, that's awesome. I'm sure there's some people in the chat that wanted to know your specs. It's a similar setup to mine. I built mine recently. I've got a 1060 graphics card, and it's able to play just about everything I throw at it. So I mean, that's all you want. The 970 is a very good card. It was actually one that was on my radar as well. Let me see here. Anyone else have anything to throw?
Yeah, while you were talking about the actual specs, myself and Patty were just staring at each other going, what?
But I'm so glad I practiced.
Oh no, it's great. It came across wonderfully. But I was always wondering, because I know Ronan disagrees with this, but it always comes up that on the surface of it, for console players anyway, the majority of the time, the reason that we don't go over to PC is because we think it's too expensive. Do you think that's true? Or I know Ronan doesn't think it's true, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
No, thanks. I think that it's a kind of a return on investment type thing. It's really easy to spend, like €400 right now and play the games that are available right now. But the fact that I can just upgrade, one part or two parts, it's a return of investment over time, I think. And games are coming out and they're evolving so much, and the graphics and the like what is required to play these games, like the specs that are required, is just getting higher and higher. And I think it's a little bit unfair sometimes on the poor console players who are stuck using exactly what they have. I personally believe that you guys should be able to upgrade some parts of your console.
I agree with that as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, I think it'll probably go that way eventually. Like the next consoles and stuff are going to have get parts that are upgradable, especially Xbox. I say Xbox is going to be the first ones that do that. Xbox One, they probably, like, if they just release a browser on the Xbox, like, it is a PC, isn't it? Really, like.
Well, I mean, you also have a lot of people upgraded their hard drive when they first got their PS4 or their Xbox, upgraded it to a 1 terabyte or a 2 terabyte. What I was always thinking was maybe, release a graphics card and just have it easy accessible where you can take out the old one, put the new one in, and then you're upgraded and have it at a nice price point. I think people would prefer to do that than actually go out and buy a full system again, like the PS Pro. Now, the PS Pro did sell very well, but personally, I still have my standard PS4 because it was either a PS Pro or build a PC, and I built a PC, and it felt like Nadine said, it's an investment, and I can look into it and say, okay, I can add RAM to it this week, and it'll be upgraded to and future proof. Like, that's the problem I think with consoles, is that future proof is getting smaller and smaller. The generation is getting smaller and smaller as parts get upgraded. It's interesting. I like both. I can't say I don't. What I like about the PS4 are simply the exclusives. I mean, I don't think I could ever have a system where I couldn't play Bloodborne, Uncharted, The Last of Us, all these fascinating games that God of War we mention every week on the show as well. So it does come down to games for me as well, but I do love my PC.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of times, I find it interesting that you said it was the specific games that you were afraid of losing. Most of the time people say, oh, I don't want to lose my controller. I love using my controller. My controller is so important.
No, that's what I use for
yes!
games.
He made it himself.
Yeah, it does look like something you made yourself, doesn't it?
It's made of Play-Doh.
Sorry, go on ahead, Naomi.
Okay, no, sorry. I was just going to say that just speaking of the reason I don't want to really move over is because of my trophies, actually. And I've always been a PlayStation person. So to lose that and to start again, this is my own ignorance. What is it on Steam that you earn? Is it achievements?
Yeah,
achievements. Yeah.
Achievements. Yeah. To have to do all that all over again just seems like such a hassle. So that's why I prefer staying on console.
How many platinums do you have now, Naomi?
23. Just
wow.
You can't leave them behind.
I can't, no. But I don't have
Jack.
No, trying to catch him. But it is one of those things where I personally as well, I don't have any problem with PC gamers. I think it's terrible that the myth is still there, and it's a bit frustrating at times that it just kind of lingers, and it's like, guys, we're actually friends. It's grand. Just get over it.
We have console and PC. Like Rocket League supports that cross-platform play. So I think that more games will add that in, and it will become less of an issue. Or not an issue.
Fortnite as well does it, actually. I play on PC. My son plays downstairs on PS4, and it is deadly. It's awesome.
PlayStation won't do crossover until they start losing the market.
Yeah.
Do you know,
you can do crossover. You can do crossover on PC to PS4 on Fortnite.
Yeah, but is that the only
PC Fortnite? Yeah, Xbox you can't though.
Yeah, no, they won't go over to Xbox.
No, Xbox or Switch, they won't allow it.
Yeah.
But, a couple of years ago, Xbox actually did the same thing where they were on top when they first started coming out, with the internet and all that, and they were on top of the market. They wouldn't do it. So exactly. Just turned around and did it now. Nadine, what would you take on? We are talking a lot lately about games in general being just going digital. I know PC is all digital now, but what do you think about like on consoles and stuff? Do you think they're just going to go digital completely?
Oh, and they should, rightly so. The fact that you don't have to deal with a disc anymore. Do you remember when you used to scratch the disc and it wouldn't play? If you can alleviate that problem alone, or even just watching somebody pick up your disc on the under, you put the thumbprints. Yeah. You're just like, oh my god, please stop.
What about say a company goes down and they lose the license for it, like what if you can't play the game again? Would you like having the game there would make a difference there?
That actually happened recently. So we had a community merge with us who were totally Paragon players. I don't know if any of you heard of Paragon.
Yeah,
The game
Yeah.
Epic.
So
But they got rid of it.
yeah, it's all gone, and the poor
it's gone,
players
yeah.
were just sitting there like, what do we play Smite?
No, you play Fortnite.
Yeah, it was because of Fortnite they shut it
Fortnite
down.
servers.
But then there's games like Survival of the Fittest. So Ark had a mod. Ark Survival Evolved had a mod called Survival of the Fittest. It was a battle royale version of Ark where you had 100 people. They drop and the circle come in. You know, everything except it was dinosaurs as well. And the devs turned around and just stopped supporting the mod. They didn't push out any updates. They didn't do anything because the player base, I think it had dropped to maybe 300 concurrent players per month, which is, you know, I get why they stopped it at that point.
Small fry.
But the player base, they're still like, I have people on my friends list right now playing it. You know, like it's just, they just love it and they will support it and people will mod the game and people will make the game themselves.
That's true. I think collectors wouldn't be too happy though if it went all digital either. It's kind of it's hard. It's a hard one. Like at the retro conference at the weekend, it was lovely seeing the actual hardware there and the games, and you know, to go back and start playing them. And I know, like going forward, how many consoles do we have left? How many discs do we have left until we let go? You know what I mean? And it'd be hard, but I actually do see it going that way myself. We've brought up a few times.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's kind of. I'm in between what I want to keep it or not to keep it.
I think the problem we have now in this day and age, and you've actually mentioned it before, Paddy, is the disc isn't actually the game anymore. It's just an unlock.
It's a license.
You just put it into the system and then the game downloads anyway. So I think that does take a little bit of the magic away. I think with retro, you put in the cartridge and the game is on that cartridge.
Full game is there, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that that's not really there anymore, it's a little bit easier for me to, you know, to let it go. Like I said, I've been digital for an awful long time. I think just with the pricing of digital now on PC and on PS4, it makes sense for me just to buy digital.
Yeah, true. Well, I suppose 10 years ago it was the same with PC games where you got the thing and you had the little key in the box and you had to put the game in and then you had to write the key. You had to write the key in and then you had to put the disc in every time. But it's just the same thing. You download the game and it's a license to open the game. I suppose that's the way it's going to go with PlayStation, unfortunately.
And the amount of DLC that's out these days, you know, like it's just
it's ridiculous.
It's in the games company interest, you know, keep production costs low and make sure you keep buying. And
I've always brought that up as like Mario 64. If that game came out today, how much DLC would you have to buy to finish that game? Honest to God, that game was
unlock Mario.
Pay for his hat, huh? Yeah, no, Mario in combat.
Nadine, being a woman in the gaming industry can obviously be quite a different experience, especially online. What challenges have you faced yourself?
I think obviously the first one I kind of said earlier is there tends to be a bit of a gaming is a boys thing, and you know girls are kind of just slowly evolving into that. Well, I personally don't think that's true. I think that there's been a lot of hardcore gamer girls around, and they just didn't get the recognition that they deserve. Because like you always get this, oh no, I've got a girl on my team kind of thing, you know, because people are used to this kind of queen mentality, you know, where it's like, I will be the only girl here and I will be the loudest and I will do this and all that kind of stuff. I actually think that I've had kind of the opposite kind of way over the last little while. I've been very lucky being a female doing this, particularly what I do and particularly organizing this amount of games. I think that I have gotten some special leeway. You know, people will be more inclined to kind of hear what I have to say or what I have to do. And as much as I don't want to admit it's because I'm a girl, it does help. Like, and there's no way to kind of like say that it doesn't. It does. And it's unfortunate that that's what you have to play into, but it just is what you have to play into to get what you want.
Yeah. Well, it can be very frustrating at times, though, because I know when I was growing up and we were playing, like, I think it was Kirby's Dream Land. No, not Kirby's Dream Land. Oh, I can't remember which Kirby it was. Anyway, I was absolutely destroying my neighbor, who was a guy. And then there was always a fear, though, if I was like, oh, yes, I won or whatever, he would always be like, oh, you're such a bitch, like gloating in my face for saying that. I was like, no, I just actually just won. And anytime that he would win, he was like, "Yeah, in your face."
I think that would have happened even if you're a boy, though. Probably
But it
would have
was
been
just
the
kind of
same.
like, it is just a bit frustrating, I suppose. Maybe it's just a little ragey. To be fair, now it doesn't happen very often, but every so often you'll just get a really angry dude, and I think it just says more about them than anything else. So that's grand.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The female to female interactions though are not particularly pleasant. That I did you guys see that Mercy's Overwatch video? The two
No.
Mercies
No.
screaming at each other.
Oh wow.
So, I'll send you guys the link after. But they were screaming at each other because there's a bit of a thing that like you should be the only girl. There's a lot of only girl syndrome in online gaming, where it's like I can be the only girl here. If you're a girl, you're threatening my place, my position. So there's like alpha beta kind of relationships going on. But I think that the female to female thing needs to change. I think that if girls can't have the girls back, nobody will. Like, you got to support your fellow man or woman.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, you bring up the female to female. It's actually something that I wouldn't have even thought of. But I think we're evolving, especially in this country with games, and it is becoming more mainstream. And maybe 10 years ago, I didn't have a lot of gamer friends that were female, but now in this stage, I can think of maybe 5 or 6 off the top of my head. I mean, Saoirse, one of my good friends, she is an absolute beast on Battlefield, and she'd be happy that I called her name out on that. She has my dog tags, I think, for every Battlefield since the first one. And getting dog tags are basically she has to come up and backstab me, and she's done it to me in every one of them, and it's like tradition now. But I think we are evolving. I think this country is evolving, and I think when we become more mainstream, that gaming is more accepting in this country. I think it'll be more accepting for females to be part of it.
Yeah, it's just all about being treated the same, guys. That's pretty much it.
We're going to talk about just go on to a little bit about mental health. Mental health issues affect many of us, particularly in the gaming community. Can you tell us what you do within your community to try and help people with mental health issues?
Yeah, so one thing that we pride ourselves on is our attitude towards mental health, because a lot of the time there's a bit of a stigma about talking about it. Like, you can't even bring it up without somebody kind of messaging you going, "Oh, what's wrong? I see you posted something about mental health," and you're like, no, you need to understand that this literally affects everybody. Very recently, I've started doing mindfulness sessions during the Monday meeting. So they have to kind of take, a minute. And I ask them very nicely not to play games, but, they're supposed to take the minute to kind of, just come back into themselves. Because I think that gaming can very much help somebody with some type of social anxieties. If you're speaking with people, it can be very helpful. I'm a bit hesitant to kind of say that it helps mental health, because you can have extremes. You can have somebody who is totally escaping any responsibility that they are supposed to be doing, in game as well. But I think that in MPG, I try to play to the strengths of people that I know might have, like, some people might be quite shy. So I'll kind of prompt them, like, maybe you're going to say something in a meeting, or you're going to be the leader of the group for the day. You're going to do this, or, whatever it may be. I think that if you can find ways through gaming to help boost people's confidence, I think that makes such an impact. And I've had a few people tell me, that they feel that they're a little more confident in themselves. They feel like they have a little bit of responsibility. And like, even kids as young as like 14, 15, when you start giving them jobs, my God, are they enthusiastic. Like, they will do the best job that you ever saw. And it's because they crave the structure that they need in like their friend group. If they were going out and playing like football with their friends and stuff, you would have a social circle. You would have somebody who fulfills a certain role in your social group. And because you're kind of alone in when you're playing, you're just sitting by yourself and you've got your headset on. The fact that they can do what they want to do, but in a social setting, is like just totally setting them up, and we do a lot of soft skills. So we do communication sessions where, like, just shouting over there might make sense to you, doesn't make sense to me. So we have to kind of like teach each other how to communicate. And the fact that we have people from 44 different countries, you know, we've got like some serious like language barriers. I have to say though, Ireland, when it comes to languages, like bar Una, right? Because she is amazing at Irish. The way that the people outside of Ireland speak English when English is not their native language is it's incredible. Like I have spoken to 14-year-olds with English that will be better than my Russian ever will, you know? So it's incredible to see them learn and grow and want to adapt their lifestyles to kind of like fit in. They do. They learn English more. They speak English more. You know, they do what they can to be part of the groups. So I think that all of this together is definitely something that helps them understand that mental health is something we're going to talk about. It's something we're going to work on, and it's something that everybody has to kind of take heed of. Like, I'm sure there's people who think that they're perfectly normal. I don't know what normal is, but you know, they're perfectly normal, and they'll still do the mindfulness sessions because, you know, it's a community event, but they're doing it.
What does that entail, the mindfulness sessions? Sounds interesting.
It's just 2 minutes where you just have to like look for 5 things you can see, you know, in front of you. You can even do it right now if you want, you know, 5 things in front of you. Look for 5 different colors, you know, listen for 5 different sounds. And it's just all about bringing you back into the present, you know, just like being aware of your surroundings, that you are the person in control of your emotions, you know, just bringing you back.
Nice.
I think it's actually fantastic that it's gone from like a gaming group to a real society of people doing things together. Like that's brilliant. I think it's actually given us a few tips on what way to our community.
Definitely.
It's brilliant what they're doing.
Thank
I didn't realize you were actually doing that, which is fantastic.
I've been very lucky. I recently reached out. So because of all of this, I'm not qualified. You know, I'm nervous to ever make any claims because, you know, it's not something that I have a degree in or anything. So I reached out to a mental toughness and assertiveness coach from Limerick. His name is Carl Hayden. And what we are doing right now is we're building a course that we can give to people, because if somebody is screaming at you down the microphone, you can't control what that person is doing, but you can control how that's impacting you. And it's something that's kind of not seen. Like, a lot of people just tell you to either get off or block, you know, one or the other. Yeah. If you block them, you're ruining your own game, because maybe they're giving you call outs, they're just not the best. You know, they could be given better ones. And then maybe it's a case that you do just have to walk away. But it's kind of like assessing that situation and learning what you need to do to kind of make sure it doesn't impact you too much. So you don't end up throwing your controller at the screen, and you don't end up rage quitting and, you know, doing all these things.
That kind of thing could expand into their normal lives, like even being on a bus beside somebody and somebody does something to you. Like, it's more about how you react to them instead of like, I don't know, reacting, like lashing out or something. If you control yourself, that'd be a great technique to learn.
Yeah, huge.
The day-to-day life.
It's something that's totally like, when it comes to gamers just think it's just an escape, you know, that's all it is. And did you see the WHO said that gaming is a disorder now, a gaming addiction.
Recognized.
Yeah,
recognized. Yeah.
Like, I think that it's becoming, there's more studies being done. There's a really good book. It's called the Dream World, the PlayStation Dream World. And it's all about, you know, social interactions online. And it's very interesting the way that there's only studies being done now because we can only do it now. So
yeah.
More to come.
No, yeah, awesome. They definitely need to look into it more and study more. And I think take each case individually and not say everyone's addicted at 20 hours is an overstatement, you know what I mean? A massive one.
You wouldn't want to know what my hours. I think I have 1,200 hours in DayZ.
That is respectable.
But like, as long as you can get on with your day-to-day life, you're still going to college, you're still going to work, you're still spending time with your family. Like, a lot of people, what about TV? Is TV an addiction? Do you know, there's people spend way more than 20 hours a week watching TV? Yep. You know, like box sets after box sets, and no one says, yeah, you're addicted, we need to get you in somewhere. Do you know what I mean? There's a fine line.
I think, again, it's because it's ingrained in our society. Watching TV has been done for, you know, years and years.
40 years or whatever.
It's only been recognized in the last maybe 10 or 15, 20 years maybe. And like it is something that's new.
Yeah, anything can be recognized as addiction if it's taken over your life and it's making things harder for you in your day-to-day goings. If you're staying away from family and stuff, like, it's obviously you have to look at what you're doing and take a step back from gaming for a while. But it can be great to get away for a while. Not
Yeah.
saying 100,000 hours a week, but
Yeah,
get
I think
there,
the media are also jumping on it as well, and giving it a little bit of more of a bad rep than it is, because Fortnite is the big buzzword to use, and when parents see the word Fortnite and they see their kid putting hours and hours in, the media often try to jump on that and give it a bad name. But I personally think that if the child is under 18, well, then it's the parents' responsibility to regulate that child's that child's game time. I have two sons myself, and one of them would play 24/7 if I let him, but I can't let him because I know that it will damage his mental health.
On that topic of the media, during the week, we had our conference at the weekend, and we had a lady in from the Mirror. I'm going to say it now because it really hurt what she done, where she talked to us for a good half an hour. She talked to Graham, the organizer, who did a great job at the weekend, and is very family orientated and did a great job. And of everything that he said, she took out that he said gaming, it shouldn't be recognized as a gaming addiction. There needs to be more studies. And she put that in the Mirror as gaming host blasts health study. Like it boiled my blood. After he put so much time and effort, and she came in and it was so lovely to us, and then just put that in the paper. Like, I just don't understand that.
I'll tell you why, because it's the Mirror newspaper.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, I know, but such a horrible thing to do.
I know it was ridiculous, and
Such a
he was
shame.
actually very upset about that. And I want to throw as well, because we were all at the event, and it was absolutely fantastic. And there was kids there that were, there was I talked about it last week on the show. There was a kid there with his hair dyed blue and a Sonic t-shirt on. He was 9 or 10 years of age, and it just shows parents are actually passing down what games they were playing. And it is, these old school games, these retro games are being brought to the new generation. And yeah, we're at a little bit of a weird time now where the media is throwing gaming under the bus, but I think that will pass. And I just say, don't feed any of that stuff, and don't ever buy the Mirror newspaper.
But sure, how many times have you heard that music is causing, gun crime, or, Slipknot's ruining our society, like we go through these phases.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully we get past it and everyone leave Fortnite alone.
Paddy might get good at some stage.
They should just start bashing PUBG now.
Yeah, that's it. Go for PUBG. Go for PUBG. Will we bring Kevin, I suppose?
Yeah, let's bring our community moderator in for this show. It is Kevin Toner. How's it going, Kevin?
There he is. The bearded wonder. I wonder where you went. I wonder how you got here.
Yeah, it's a bit of a difference from my profile picture, isn't it?
It is. A little
forgot to bring that up. That profile picture looks amazing, Kevin.
It does. It really brings out your eyes. That bottle of beer.
You'll never see it again.
I'm going to get that picture.
How is the chat looking, Kev?
Really, really hopping.
Nice.
Amazing chat going on here tonight.
Let's go.
Loads of lovely people.
A few questions you have for us, or for Nadine?
Well, actually, there was more comments. There was very few questions. You just covered everything so well, to be honest. We had some hashtag We Want Fano chants in the chat. Fano's homesick at the moment.
Poor Fano, shout out to him.
Was Fano in the chat saying that?
No.
Any chance? He's under a different profile. I know what he's like.
Push was saying that he can't trust Paddy in Fortnite. Dave is love, Dave is life.
Agreed.
I don't think Dave's not a real person.
Yeah. But no, we had the Allcast Irish Gamers who were saying that Overwatch has been toxic for so long that it's only recently they've got that. Well, up until recently, you had to bring your own crew. I'd say Nadine has noticed this in the past, that you've had to bring your own crew because of the toxicity. But is that being handled now? I heard something about Blizzard trying to handle it.
So Jeff Kaplan came out and he was like, guys, you need to, what are you doing? You're ruining the game. So he was trying to kind of promote this air of, you shouldn't be acting in this manner. And they now have this commendation system in. So at the end of a game, you can tell somebody if they were a good teammate, a good sportsman, or a good leader, I think that it is the games I have played since they brought that update out, the amount of people who are trying so hard to be nice because they want the commendation, because you get a little level You know, it moves up. You can get a higher level, so they're getting competitive at being nice. So it's
That's a good
interesting.
move. A fantastic move.
Yeah.
On the topic of specifically your gameplay, you said you're not much of a computer game player, but we had Robert Moore in the chat said, "Don't be fooled. She's only going to fool you into a false sense of security and learn to you."
She's a beast.
Thanks, Bubbles. Definitely overestimating that. I'm not good.
She's doing it again.
And we had another one of yours, Wiki Overton, who said, "Don't watch Ninja, only Ninja Girl."
Oh.
Aw, that's nice.
Does she play Fortnite?
I'm a PUBG head. I'm sorry. I tried Fortnite. I really did. I just can't. There's way too much going on for me.
How many PUBG wins do you have, Nadine?
Team? When I get carried? Loads. Absolutely loads.
Any solos?
I have one solo win.
Oh,
I have one.
you've won more than me then.
We were really lucky because we're actually PUBG partners. So we got access to a custom server. Like they just brought it in as beta that anyone can launch a custom server, but we kind of had our own, so we were able to kind of play a lot more, and so don't feel bad.
Do the wins count in that?
No.
Oh.
I wish I would have so many.
So many wins. It's just me and the island alone.
Just launching the game just for me.
Okay, we'll drop down. I'll kill you. I win, and then you take a turn.
The one thing I will say though is with the custom games now, I don't know if you guys have noticed the quality of the PUBG videos that are going up recently. The quality is increasing so much because everybody has a custom server, so now you can start kind of, manipulating.
Yeah, Playground Mode is doing that in Fortnite as well.
We had lots of love for the PC Master Race as well as Paragon. And we had a question from Cycling Sage. The original question was, do console players feel an attachment to a certain console? But I'm going to kind of change that to, do you feel any attachment to a certain creator, certain studio, or even tech creator in general, not just consoles or PCs?
Are we doing a round table on this one?
I think we could, yeah. Or
Una, you go first if you want.
I will always play Naughty Dog's games.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say about that. Just because they've been so consistent. Anything that I've played from them, I've loved, and obviously recently, with Uncharted and Last of Us, now The Last of Us 2, it's just they just keep going up for me, and so far, fingers crossed, they haven't really done any wrong. So I suppose in terms of loyalty, they have me roped in that I will buy their games automatically. Probably. I won't even read the reviews. I'm just going to go buy them. But they have actually, I suppose, taken the time out to create these games that have made me loyal, if that makes sense. It's not blind loyalty. Actually, do you know what? I just lied. I have blind loyalty for Final Fantasy as well. But apart from that, you know what I mean, though, in terms of their content, it has been absolutely superb over the recent years and just in general. So they're a studio I will not let go of.
I'd say either. Go on, Nadine.
Sorry, I think Bohemia Interactive, the people who made Arma, will always be my favorite games company. They care sometimes. They care.
Isn't that where PUBG came from originally? Brendan was working on a mod on Arma 3, wasn't it?
So Brendan Green was working on it. Then it got made into. He also started working on H1Z1 at the time. They did King of the Kill, and then he went over and became PlayerUnknown.
And got himself millions. Mm-hmm. We're hoping to have him guest on the show at some stage. So Brendan, if you're out there, you might be able to hook us up with that one, Nadine.
Maybe.
Paddy,
I'd say Rockstar, just for Grand Theft Auto.
Nice.
100%.
I'm going to go predictable as always, but From Software.
Oh, here we go.
From Software, just because of Bloodborne. I know they do have a lot of the games are released on PC now as well, but Bloodborne. I don't know whether I could ever go away from a console that could potentially release a second game. So
We're gonna get you a hat
it's
that
from
says "I love Bloodborne."
it's
So
from
everyone knows.
software for me. Although Miyazaki hates me now, supposedly.
He does.
What about yours, Kev?
Quantic Dream.
Mm.
Now
nice.
that's a controversial point. They did the recent Detroit Become Human and Beyond Two Souls a few years ago, and
Fahrenheit.
yep, I can't
couldn't
remember
get
the
into
other name
that.
for it.
I
Great
couldn't
game.
get into that Detroit Become Human at all. I played it for like 2 hours, and I was like, this point and click stuff, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, but now to kind of bring the chat down a little bit, we had Seamus asking about the pressure being put on parents to monitor their kids. But to be honest, you've covered it so well. Again, you did cover it really well. So I don't think it can be expanded on anymore with the gaming addiction. But
I'd like to just say something about that, like to help parents, because obviously I'm a parent myself. The best thing I think I can do for my son is to use gaming as a reward for them. Don't use it as a thing that they do every day and they get sick of it. And even when they're getting sick of it, they still want to play more and more. And that's when the addiction kind of mindset steps in. I've seen my son, go through some really bad times where he gets really angry and for no reason whatsoever he might lose a game in Fortnite. So I dialed it back a little bit, and I've noticed that if I give him, say, 2 hours on a Friday evening after his week length of school, he'll enjoy that 2 hours more than actually being let on it every night. So that's just a little bit of advice from kind of where I come from. I know it's not going to be the same for everyone, and everyone's situation is different, but that's what works in this household.
Oh yeah, well, you touched on the gaming addiction, and it just from the moment the World Health Organization story came out, I thought that the way they did it, gaming addiction does exist, but it's not just gaming addiction. Addiction exists.
Yeah, exactly.
It's when you do something so much that it affects your health, your relationships, your life, anything. Yeah. If it affects your mood in any way, you're a little bit addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
definitely.
It's nothing to do with the gaming itself. Like it's a buzzword at the moment.
I think it's really funny as well that they've associated Fortnite with this gaming addiction as well. Fortnite is like, it's a set amount of time for a game. You should look at the people who are playing Ark. Look at the people who have invested thousands of hours into, building a base. And once that thing gets destroyed, what do you do then?
Build another base.
Another one.
You rage quit. You uninstall.
You wait 2 days and install it again. I haven't got a problem.
Waking up at 4 a.m. just to feed the dinosaur. You're like, shit, I gotta go.
Kev, any more questions in the chat, or do you want to do our big giveaway for this week?
Well, we had loads of love for 8-bit in the chat.
Oh yeah,
good. Very excited. Looked really well.
Fantastic.
I couldn't make it. I had food poisoning over the weekend, so I won't miss it next year. But our winner for, I think it's 2 tickets to the Dublin City Comic Con.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the winner is Leah Elizabeth Cross.
Hey,
congratulations, Leah.
Well done. See you there. She'll have to get a picture with us there. That's it.
If you see me and Paddy there with the red t-shirts, come over, say hi, and yeah, we'll have a chat and a picture with you.
Yeah.
We'll sign autographs as well.
Gaming addiction is not real. Well, that's all we have time for this week, folks.
Yeah, so if we want to do shout outs, let me see. Kevin, you go first, just shout out and we'll go through everyone.
Well, actually, this past week, I started a new Twitter, changed my YouTube name, and the day after I decided on @MartoothTK everywhere, I get my old Twitch back. But I'm sticking with @MartoothTK, and you can find me @MartoothTK everywhere.
Everywhere.
Nadine?
Thank you to all the pairs who came and showed support tonight. I very much appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And to you guys, thank you for having me.
No problem.
You're welcome.
Paddy?
Thanks, Nadine, for coming on. This is not the Oscars. Don't,
Here we go.
don't start me.
Mom!
Nah, we're already messed now.
I'd like to thank God. No, I'm not going to do it this week. You can find me at Paddy the Pagan on Twitter after saying thank you, God. But that's it. Thanks, Nadine, for coming on.
Una Ming?
You can find me over on Twitch these days at Unitex. That's Unitex, and I always have to spell it because some people call me. I actually don't want to. No, just Unitex. Just go find me there.
I thought it was just like a marketing technique because it sounds really well when you spell it out.
Oh, thank you very much. I practice every night in front of the mirror.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, again, I just want to thank Nadine for coming on. Guests on this show have been nothing but educational for us, and believe it or not, this is our highest viewing show so far. So we'd like to thank you. You obviously have a lot of influence in the industry, and thanks for giving all the advice on how to build our community, which is the Republic of Gaming. And just a shout out to everyone in that community as well. We're growing and growing, and we're not going to stop. We have a great team behind us, and we're going to continue doing these shows every Wednesday. I am the Alpha Fox on Steam and Twitter. You can get me also on the Republic of Gaming community. If you want to send me a personal message and ask me any question, feel free to do so. This has been the Republic of Gaming podcast, episode 9. Thanks a million again to Nadine for coming on, and we are out.
Peace.
Bye.